Let's be real. If you're a busy professional, a parent, or maybe you're juggling both, you know that feeling of being squeezed. There's just too much to do, never enough time, and this constant pressure to keep up. And now, there's AI. It can feel like just one more complicated, overwhelming thing to worry about. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if AI isn't the coming storm, but the actual ship that's designed to help us navigate it? Let's dive in and see how we can turn this thing into our own personal, powerful co-pilot.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the pressures we're all feeling, then we'll meet our new AI co-pilot. After that, we'll cover the essential flying lessons to find what a real partnership looks like, and then see how this tech can help us outside of work. Finally, we'll look at how all of this can seriously reinvent our future.
All right, let's start with a reality check. We're calling it the new squeeze. It's that feeling that the pace of change isn't just fast, it's relentless, it's overwhelming. And you know what? It's not just a feeling. It's a fundamental shift in how the world of work works.
And the scale of this change is just massive. Get this. Recent data from LHH shows that 58%, that's nearly 6 out of every 10 laid-off workers, aren't just finding a new job, they're jumping into entirely new careers. So career reinvention, it's not the exception anymore. It's quickly becoming the new normal for pretty much all of us.
And this feeling, it's everywhere. This quote from a manager really hits home. Drowning in the admin, the reports, the never-ending emails. You know, all the small stuff that keeps you from doing the work that actually matters, like growing the business, mentoring your team, or, let's be honest, just getting home in time for dinner. It is an absolutely exhausting cycle. So what's behind all this pressure? Well, a lot of the time, it's a force we don't even see. There's this huge disconnect. While only about 1 in 10 workers think AI had anything to do with their layoff, nearly half of business leaders are admitting that, yeah, it did. AI is reshaping our jobs, whether we can see it happening or not.
But here's the good news. Facing this change doesn't have to be a solo flight. This brings us to the promise of it all, your AI co-pilot. This is where we make this shift from feeling totally overwhelmed by change to feeling empowered by a new tool that can help us master it.
So, what can this thing actually do? Well, think of it as your creative partner, one that absolutely loves doing the grunt work. It can summarize that meeting you missed or that mountain of emails you came back to after vacation in seconds. It can help you draft your reports, analyze complicated spreadsheets, brainstorm ideas when you're stuck, and even help you polish your resume for your next big move. It's all about getting your time back.
And the time you get back is significant. For managers, the savings on things like data analysis are huge, but it also makes a big dent in prepping for communications and planning out different scenarios. And here's the most important part. That reclaimed time frees you up to focus on the deeply human side of work. You know, coaching, mentoring, and actually building relationships. Okay, so we've got this amazing, powerful new co-pilot. But just like you wouldn't jump into the cockpit of a 747 without any training, you're going to need some flying lessons. Using AI well means you have to understand the rules of the road and how to navigate the risks. The real trick here is finding the right balance. When you use it correctly, AI augments your skills. But if you lean on it too much, it becomes a crutch. And that leads to something called skill atrophy. It's kind of like using a calculator for simple math all the time until you forget how to do it in your head. The goal is to make sure you always stay in the pilot seat.
These are the big lessons every new pilot needs to learn. Think of it as your pre-flight checklist. To avoid losing your skills, use AI to help you edit, not create from scratch. To avoid blind trust, always ask yourself, does this actually make sense? For creativity, use it to brainstorm, not to generate the final idea. And this is a big one. Never, ever put sensitive company or personal data into it.
And if you think that's just a theoretical risk, check this out. This Reddit user found their AI was just making up math. It was creating summaries without actually doing the work. It's a perfect, real-world reminder that you always have to check the work. The co-pilot is there to help, not to fly the plane by itself.
So that brings us to the core idea that makes this whole thing work, the human-AI partnership. And in this partnership, there is absolutely no confusion about who is in charge. You are always the pilot in command, period.
This framework is basically the cornerstone of how to think about this. It's really simple. The AI is your assistant, your advisor, your amplifier. It handles tasks, suggests ideas, and learns from your feedback. But you are the judge, the innovator, and the ethicist.
You are the one who evaluates the context, pushes for brand new ideas, and at the end of the day, you're the one who is accountable for the final outcome.
So what does a modern pilot need to learn? Well, there are 4 critical skills. First, master prompt engineering, which is really just a fancy way of saying learn how to ask good questions. Second, sharpen your data interpretation skills so you can sanity check what the AI gives you. Third, practice ethical decision-making. And finally, learn how to lead your team through all this change with confidence.
And this, right here, is the key takeaway. This is not about replacing human intuition with an algorithm. It's about using AI to clear out the noise so you can elevate your focus to what really matters: leading people.
Now, this whole partnership idea isn't just for the office. For all the busy parents and professionals out there, this is where it gets really interesting. We can take these exact same principles and use them outside the 9 to 5, using AI as an ally to protect our personal time and our sanity.
I love this question because it really makes you stop and think for a second. Imagine your personal time, your mental space, is like a house. Are the doors to that house just wide open? Do work emails and last-minute requests just walk right in whenever they want? Or do you have a solid lock on that door to protect your space for rest and recovery?
Well, AI can actually be a tool to help you install a better lock on that door. Imagine an AI assistant that looks at your calendar and says, "Hey, you've had back-to-back meetings for 3 days straight." It could then proactively block out a focus hour for you. Or maybe draft an automatic "I'll get back to you tomorrow" reply to emails that come in after 6 p.m. It can become your digital gatekeeper, helping you protect your most valuable asset, your time.
All right, let's zoom out one last time to the biggest picture of all: reinventing your future. Because this new partnership with AI isn't just changing what we do, it's fundamentally changing our sense of who we are.
The story of a guy named Paul really illustrates this. For 2 decades, his entire professional identity was the finance guy. That's who he was. When automation took his job, he didn't just need to learn new skills. He had to build a completely new sense of self from the ground up. His journey is a powerful look at the deep, personal work that many of us are going to face in the coming years.
Researchers actually have a name for this new reality. They call it the algorithmic self. It sounds a little sci-fi, but it's where our human identity starts getting co-created through feedback from machines. Think about it. AI is becoming a mirror that doesn't just reflect who we are, but actively starts to shape who we might become by suggesting new skills or career paths based on our data.
And that leaves us with one final provocative question to carry with us. In a world where AI writes the first draft of everything, who is doing the thinking? It's so efficient to have AI do it. But we have to remember that writing is thinking. As we hand over more of that initial writing to our co-pilot, we have to stay vigilant and ask ourselves every single day, am I still doing the critical thinking? Answering that question, that is how you truly master this partnership.